Okay, welcome back to episode 3 of Space Potaters. In this episode, we are going to drop bombs from our aliens, and if they hit the player will explode. This is a big update, so let's get to it. So as always, the first thing we're going to do is head over to the animation tab. I have created a new burst. This is going to be the player ship burst, and I just duplicated this burst and switched out the colors. So quick and easy. Could always change that later, but it'll do for now. This is the bomb that the aliens are going to drop, and I wanted to make it kind of an undulating, like wiggly worm. I started with this, and then went to this by deleting these outside pixels and adding them to the inside. So I went from here to here, and then I used the flip vertically for the next one. And then from there to here, I deleted from the inside, added to the outside. And then from there to here was copying frame 3 to frame 5. And then I flipped that vertically. And then we're back to frame 1. Go to max speed on that one. Okay, so those are the changes that made the animation tab. Let's head back to the code. So we're going to come down here, and I want to add a couple of sprites. I want to add the burst for the player ship explosion when it gets hit by a bomb. We're going to call that burst 2. And I'm going to put that at 600 off screen. And I can see that I forgot to change the name of these animations. This should be, we're going to call that bomb. We're going to call that bomb. We're going to call this burst 2. Back to the code. I'm going to need to scale that. We also need a variable to indicate when our player has died. Player died equals false. When that kicks in, we're going to pause for a minute to play the explosion of the player ship and then the outro. So we also need one that is going to be the counter that's going to we're going to add the pause with after the ship explodes, so we can see the animation. This is very similar to how we did the burst with the aliens when they were hit by the laser. That's going to be death pause counter and set equal to 0. Now we need to create our bombs. So I'm setting those off screen up and to the left at negative 250. And we're going to make 5 of these because the easiest way to do this, I believe, is to make a bomb for each alien. And then we're going to cycle them. So I'm going to copy and paste this. And this will be 2, 3, 4, 5. We now need 3 more variables because the way this is going to work is we're going to have a pause between the dropping of each bomb. That pause is going to be a random amount of time. We'll use a random number. And we also need a counter to count up to that random number before it moves on. We also need to select which alien randomly will be dropping the bomb. We need a bomb pause counter set to 0. We need a pause bomb. That's going to be a random number from 30 to 50. We can always tweak these after the fact, but we'll keep it there for now. That's the threshold that the bomb pause counter is going to count up to during the pause. And then we're going to have randomly select which alien is going to drop the bomb. Okay, I think that's it for updating animations and sprites. Let's go down to our draw loop, and we're going to add a new function. As you may have guessed, this is update bombs. Before we write the update bombs function, I want to go back, and there's one thing that I forgot to do with our laser in actually the first video. Okay, if we put a watcher on our laser.y and we run that and we watch this value down here, right now my laser is at negative. Right now our laser is at negative 10. Laser.y is at negative 10, so it's up above the screen. And then when I fire it off, it goes to the ship and has a negative y velocity. But we never stopped the laser, so until I fire the laser again, it is still flying upward out into space. And we don't really want that because we want to know where that laser is at all times. So we're going to stop that. And I think that amounts to about just 1 or 2 lines of code. If we go down to our update laser function here, we can just put another conditional in here that says if laser.y is, because it's going way into the negatives, if it's less than negative 11, then we're going to set laser.y to negative 10. I think that should do it. Let's try that. Yeah, there we go. Still works as before. That was a little weird. See that? We can't be having that. Laser at the top of the screen. Let's change this to if laser.y is less than negative 20, set it to negative 19. Still not quite far enough up there. Negative 30, set it to negative 29. There we go. Okay, so problem fixed. Let's move on. Okay, so we're going to write this update bombs function now. So we're going to go all the way to the bottom. So we're going to have the bombs continuously dropping, well, aside from the pause we put between them. So we're going to continuously update the bomb pause counter. So that's the first thing. We need to bomb pause counter ++. So now we have this pause bomb variable that we set to a random number between, I think, 30 and 50. And we're going to check to see if the bomb pause counter has reached that threshold yet. So the next thing is the conditional if bomb pause counter is greater than pause bomb. That means we want to drop the bomb. So we're going to have 5 blocks of code here that are all going to be very similar. So I'm going to write the first one for the first bomb and the first alien. We need to check which alien was selected to drop the bomb by checking the which alien variable. So if the first alien was selected, we also need to say and bomb1.y is less than 0. So we include this in the same way that we had to include another condition for the laser to make sure that we weren't resetting it back to the ship before it went off the top of the screen. We need to check to make sure that the bomb is ready to be dropped and that it's not currently falling. It's not on the screen. So we need to make sure that its Y position is less than 0. It's off the screen. It's ready to be dropped. We also need to add another if, because we need to make sure that the alien that has been selected to drop the bomb has not already been destroyed. So we need to say, we can do that just by checking that alien's Y position if alien1.y is greater than 0. So that should work, because if you'll remember, when we create our aliens, we create them on the screen. So their Y value is greater than 0. I think it was at 50. And then when they're destroyed, they're sent to upper left, like negative 200, negative 50. So long as the Y value is greater than the 0, the alien is still on the screen, it has not been destroyed, and it's ready to drop the bomb. Okay, so now we need to take bomb 1 and put it on top of the alien. So we take the alien's position, we set the bomb to that position, and that's good because eventually we want these aliens to be moving around the screen, so we want the bomb to go wherever the alien is, no matter where it is. We also need to give it a positive Y velocity. We'll go with 5 for starters. So we've now moved the bomb onto the alien and dropped it. We now need to update the pause bomb counter, or rather the pause bomb threshold, and we need to set the pause bomb counter back to 0. We'll use a random number between 15 and 50. Again, these can all be tweaked later to when we run the program and see how fast we want that pause to be, or how short or long that pause to be between the dropping of bombs. We set the bomb pause counter back to 0 for the next one, and I think that should do it for that segment. We just need to repeat this block of code for all the other aliens and bombs, the other 4. So I'm going to grab this, copy that, paste it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. We just need to change which alien is the second one. Then we're going to take bomb 2.y. And we're going to change all these to 2. Okay, I think that covered it. There's one last thing that we need to put in here, one last line after all these 5 if statements. And that is we need to select the next alien. So we need to update which alien and select a new random number between 1 and 5. Okay, that was a lot. But wait, we're not done with this function. This is a big one. So when the bombs, what if they miss the player? If they miss the player and go off the bottom of the screen, we need to reset them back to where they started so they're ready to be dropped again. I think before we do that, we need to give this a test, give it a run, see if, okay, so the bombs are, and that's interesting that Alien 1 dropped 2, and Alien 5 did not drop 1. It should be that each alien drops 1 bomb, and there's 2 from number 1, and there's nothing from number 5, so we've got a bug here somewhere. And I see it right here. We forgot to change this to Alien 5's bomb was being dropped from Alien 1. Run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. Looks good. Okay, let's go to the next piece. If we need to check if bomb 1's Y position is greater than 400. If that's the case, we need to reset it to its original position. We need to set its velocity to 0, its Y velocity. Okay, now we need to copy that block of code for each of the other bombs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, we're getting there. So we've handled those. Now we need to add the part of this function that's going to check to see if the bomb is touching the player and behave accordingly. And again, we're going to do this in the same manner. We're going to write a block of code for bomb 1, and then we're going to copy it 4 times and change it for the others. We need to check if bomb 1 is touching player. We need to, then we're going to take that burst that we made and we're going to put it on top of the player. So we're going to get the player's X and Y coordinates, and we're going to set those to the burst 2. Now we need to move the player off the screen because the player's been blown up. And we need to indicate that the player has died so we can start the timer that is going to manage the burst animation. So we need to take that player died variable that we made, set it to true. By the way, this block of code is basically identical to the one that we wrote when the laser hit the alien. So really, if we take a look at that, if we scroll back up, if laser is touching alien, we put the burst on top of it, we move the alien, we indicated that the alien had burst, and the next thing was we set the frame and we played a sound. So we're going to do those things. We need to set frame to 0. I'm going to add the sound later at the end. So that's all for that block. Now we just need to repeat this 4 times and change the numbers. So if bomb 2 is touching player, bomb 3, bomb 4, bomb 5. And we're getting toward the end of this function. Now the last thing we need to do is handle that animation of the burst. And again, this is very similar to what we wrote here for handling the bursting aliens when the laser hit them. It's this last block of code that when we set the burst toggle to true, then that was the trigger to start counting and playing the animation. And then when we get to a certain threshold, we're going to turn off this block of code by setting burst toggle to false. We reset the burst counter. We move the burst back off the screen and we pause its animation. So it's going to be very similar to that. In fact, I could probably just copy this code block and insert it down here. And then we need to change the variable, right? Because our variable was player died. And the counter was death pause counter. And we're playing the burst 2 animation. And then we need to check when the death pause counter is greater than, say, 10. Then we're going to set player died to false to turn off this block of code. We're going to reset the death pause counter. We're going to move burst 2 out of the way. And we're going to pause the burst 2 animation. Now I've got some warnings here. What is this? Death pause counter hasn't been declared. I thought we did that up top. Misspelling. There we go. I see an error here too. What is this? Oh, I just haven't closed my function. But that's the end of it. So we're going to close. This needs to be indented. We're going to close that enormous if statement that we started. And then we're going to close our function. And that should be good to go. Let's test it. We got bombs dropping. They're cycling, so they'll drop indefinitely. Laser still works. And boom. Nice. Okay. Maybe a little bigger. I feel like we should scale that burst up. Where do we scale the burst? Wait, let's make it like 5.5. A big burst. Yeah, that's better. What's left but to add the sound effects. So we're going to go back up to the top of our update bombs function because we want to have a sound effect when the bomb is dropped. So we're going to put that right here under this line, and we're going to do it 5 times, and we're going to choose a sound. I believe that I went to, and the sound that I wanted to use, I created the sound in a different program, and I tried to pull it in. I uploaded it, and code.org would not take it. It uploaded, but it wouldn't play. I don't know why. This is a temporary fix. I'm just going to use this puzzle game, Whoosh 03. And that was the one. I don't really like that, but again, I'll change it later. And we have to add that for the dropping of each bomb. The indentation is important, especially when you get these super long functions and you get your curly brackets out of whack, you're in trouble. Shift tab is what unindents a block of code. That's in the wrong place. Okay, I think that's going to do it. Yes, indeed. What's left but to add the explosion of the player ship. When the bomb is touching the player, we're going to choose a sound. That was an explosion. Classic Explosion 2. Yeah, that's a good one. That's the one. Let's try it. Nice. Okay. I might want that. It's okay. I might want that animation to run for a little longer. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, that's better. For the full time that the sound plays. Okay. That's all for today. This is a long video. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time for another episode of Space Potatoes.